Hi, Barbie. It's finally nice to meet you. Thank you so much for this time. I really, really, really appreciate it. I know
Course.
it's been a long day. It's been a long year because you've been with this movie how long? For a year, right?
Yeah, we premiered at South by last year, so it's been a year of Bob Trevino.
It must feel great, and really, it's a very great movie. It had me sobbing all the way through, especially in the end, because it kind of builds up to that point where you just can't hold it in any longer.
Yeah,
And it's all great, and it's all thanks to your character and the chemistry you had with John Leguizamo. So
totally.
amazing movie, congrats. So okay, let's start off with talking about the social media thing. The film has like this rare optimistic take on social media, while most films are like very they try to vilify what social media is, but this one specifically, it highlights the positive, those relationships that otherwise wouldn't have happened. So, did this story change your personal views on social media?
Well, what I think what's interesting is that I'm a 28-year-old and I've been on the internet since I was like 7 years old, right? I had like a desktop Dell computer with like a dial-up connection. And so I grew up on the internet and I have found a lot of my friends through the internet and a lot. So for me, this movie actually was like, oh, finally, there's something about like the positives of the internet, which there are. I mean, we're all on the internet. There's got to be some positives to it, right? And so I just thought it was really cool that it wasn't like a sensational, like true crime horror movie. It was actually about connection and finding connection through the internet and what can happen in this like very isolating, lonely place as it is America in the technology age. And so to me, it felt like it really represented like what I did, what happened with me, which is I found a lot of my friendships, especially when I was a teenager, um, through having mutual interests as other people on the internet and mutual friends and living in the same area. And so we really connected, like the weirdos and the freaks really connected via the internet. So to me, this movie was like, oh my God, it's finally representing something that is very true to me. I've never had a complete horror story happen from the internet, but I have had really amazing friendships from the internet. So maybe I'm an outlier, but clearly not because Tracy also had that.
Yeah, exactly. So about that relationship, which is the heart of the film, between you and John Leguizamo, it does walk this very careful line. So there's always like this immediate tension that audiences could bring.
Yeah.
They're always questioning it, like, is this going to turn into something romantic and appropriate or something? How did you manage that? How did Tracy and you and everyone handle that on set?
So we were very aware of that because that's
Mhm.
truly like obviously like the big problem is we don't want it to look like some kind of predatory thing. And so I think what Tracy told John was that he's never funny on purpose and he's never charming on purpose. And so and the fact that the actual story was some a man who was deeply just wanting friendship with Tracy and having this mutual friendship, it always grounded it in reality. Where there were times where we made sure to really make it realistic. Where like like obviously his wife is gonna question it at first, but then once she sees it, it's gonna be we had to walk the reality of it and the perception of it very carefully. And so I think we pulled it off in a good way where it's just two awkward human beings who like just really wanted to like have this like fatherly daughter kind of friendship. And to me, it always felt really real because John and I were instructed never to be charming and never to be funny on purpose. So it actually really worked. I don't know how Tracy thought of that, but it was like perfect.
That's amazing. Okay, so about your character, we learned so much about her in such a short amount of time. Like immediately in the first few scenes, we know that her mom is a drug addict, her dad's a total narcissistic manipulator. You even had the therapist crying, and you were the one like consoling her. But she has this light to her. Like she's always optimistic, even in the best scene of the movie, which is when she couldn't even break anything at that rage room. Why is it that she stays so positive, and it's so hard for her to even break something there?
Well, I think that Lily is just like a pure soul that has been in a chaotic household full of negativity and full of kind of like oppressive energy. And so I think that there's a lot of ways that someone can interpret that in their life. A lot of people can kind of fall into creating these patterns, recreating these patterns of being like also being like their father or being abusive in that way. And I think what Lily really has done is she's taken the path of least resistance for her, which is being a people pleaser and being someone who always is very aware of what the vibe is in the room and making sure that everyone likes her and that everyone's okay. Because if she didn't, then in her childhood, she would get yelled at or something would happen that she didn't know. So she's always like very on edge of like how everyone is feeling. And so that hopefulness and that light in her, it's both hers and for other people. And so when we see her actually express these kind of emotions that she might think is more negative, like anger, like when she's in the rage room or speaking up for herself, it may seem like, and everyone in her life who sees it are just like, what are you doing? Because it's so unlike her to express her own feelings. And so I feel like this hopefulness is what I really loved about Lily, is that she didn't fall into like into the trap of being this like really dark person who's avoidant of everything and like trying to and creating these patterns that are continuous with her father. I feel like she's a cycle breaker. And so for me, it really was something about her having this hope that is for some reason there, even though she probably shouldn't have it because of all the things that's happened in her life. It's like she's very, very, very strong in that way where she doesn't let it, completely eat her alive.
I love it because she's not perfect either. Because even as an audience member, you're like, why is she so intense sometimes?
I
I
know.
love her, but could you just tone it down a little bit?
I think the same way. I like literally would be doing it. I'm like, oh, Lily, what is she doing? But that's the truth. People are messy. People, especially when they're so emotionally distraught and emotionally traumatized, they react in ways that other people are like, what are you doing? They can't understand it. And that's the reality, the truth of it. It's not sexy. It's not necessarily packageable on Instagram. Like, I'm mentally unwell and this is how, and it's like me, in a face mask. It's like the reality of being unwell is that you act in ways that other people might not understand. And so it was very important that Lily was also kind of weird and like inappropriately emotioned at times because she doesn't know how to take care of herself in that way.
Exactly. It's the same thing with John Leguizamo. Like he's this perfect dad, but he's not perfect. Like he's the ideal of what she wants, but he's not perfect either. So that's what I love about it because it stays balanced. So you guys did an amazing job. Thank you so much for this
Thank
time.
you. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm so happy we got it done and you have
Oh, I'm so
the
happy
internet.
to
Yay!